Yo, what is good, everybody? Welcome back to the Ace Industries podcast, where we get athlete stories unfiltered and real recognizes real. I hope you guys are all doing really well and staying blessed. Today's guest is somebody that I've gone to war with on the field and that I played side by side with, Trevon Holmes. Give it up for Trevon Holmes. I still don't got my sound bar yet, so we're going to do the snaps. So Trevon Holmes is a safety out of Missouri Western State University. He's gotten all conference in the MIAA twice. He's a member of the Leadership Council, a four-time academic all honors member. He started 33 games in the 3 years that he's been playing, and he's one of the most consistent guys that I've played next to on the field. So Trey, how have you been doing? Give a little spiel about how you've been doing, man. How's life going, man?
Life going good. Recently just got engaged and whatnot, so that's kind
Congrats.
of big,
Yeah,
Appreciate you, thank you.
that's awesome, man.
Uh, Really just like I like to say, working on learning. So I'm either punching a clock or trying to improve myself in some aspect, shape, or form. So
Awesome, awesome. So before we even get into the football, just tell the people who Trevon Holmes really is and where you're from and how football entered into your life.
all right, so I'm from Wynne, Arkansas, so that's kind of a long way from St. Joseph, Missouri, but I got introduced to football really from my big brother. That's like always been my role model. Like I always like kind of chasing his footsteps, kind of like in his shadow, like growing up. So I just wanted to make a name for myself. I wanted to get like the fame that he kind of had as youth when he was like young or whatnot. So I was always kind of chasing that. With him being my big brother, I always try to be better than him or whatnot. I always try to chase his accolades. And
That's awesome.
for myself personally, I'll just say you always see me with a smile. I'm always joyful. I'm hardworking. I'm
Yeah.
always doing some,
Yeah.
always talking, always chatting.
Yeah, you is
That's
always
a,
talking. Yeah.
that's a few tidbits of
For those that
myself.
don't know, like me and Trey, like we real close and we hung out all the time, drove to workouts together, drove to practice together. Like
Mhm.
we I know everything about him and he knows probably everything about me. So we
No,
real
for real.
close. So um
Mhm.
the next thing, so the next question I got for you is people outside don't really understand Division II football. What's something about D2 that you think doesn't get enough respect?
I feel like D2 kind of like almost has like the biggest challenge in terms of like the divisions because usually in D2 like you have the talent or you like one factor where there's like the speed or the size to go D1, especially when you play it in a conference like the MIAA, you play high level.
Yeah.
It's merely similar to like playing FCS Division 1 AA. And recently I got a bunch of guys that's like been on the team or that has transferred and went up to FCS or
Yeah.
even to Division 1. And it's like most guys don't get that like full scholarship. So most of the time you gotta work and then you gotta do school full time on top of that, and then you going against like some dudes like it's some dudes that got a chance to make the NFL or like some
Yeah.
really good dudes that can move up and play at the Division 1 level. So I feel like in terms of a whole like D2 is like it's its own battle. Like it's big, it's huge. It's
Yeah.
like,
And to go on what you said about like there's guys who you played against or guys that you played with like that have the opportunities to go to the league. I mean, we have both played next to some of those guys like CJ and Sam and Trevon, like all
mm,
those guys. Trey didn't stay at Mo West, but like he started there, and those guys are now all playing pro. Devin Burrell, same thing with him playing pro, and I
exactly.
think those guys going to go and do that is kind of a not a smack in the face to people who think that Division II players can't go play pro, but it's essentially a statement, and it kind of shows like how competitive the people that play in Division II are, and how good of athletes they really are in order to go to that next level. So I do agree with you on that. Um, the next question I
Okay.
got, and I know you're gonna like this one because you a big person that talk about physicality. How physical is the MIAA really, and do you think that talent gets overlooked at that level?
MIAA is real physical. When you look at the O line and D line, you see a bunch of guys that's like 6'3" plus 300. They got like the size, they got like the frame to play Division 1. You look at two in the MIAA, there's a lot of D1 bounce back guys. Like you see the size, like people, if you just went off of measurables, you'd be like, dang, this guy's like a Division 1 guy. So you see that across the
Yeah.
board, a bunch of strong 6 guys. Like for example, like we played UCO last game of the year. They had 3 running backs, 6'2", 220.
Yeah.
3 running backs on one
Yeah.
on one
UCO had
roster.
they
That's
had
like
some big backs. I remember. I
yeah.
remember the.
So yeah, it's real physical, and you play a brutal schedule because like most conferences they don't play like 11 games. Like in the MIAA, you playing 11 games, and it ain't like a talent disparity as it
Yeah.
is in like other leagues. I feel like from the if you go from the top down, like we the most talented
Yeah.
conference and whatnot.
Yeah.
Where
Every team in the
other
MIAA is
conferences
good.
are yeah, whereas other conferences they just got like they heavy hitters and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that because in the MIAA you got Missouri Western, you got UCM, you got Northwest, you got Pitt State, you got Northern State University. Now, I mean, they were kind of not necessarily the laughing stock, but they weren't really that good
hmm
the past 4 years when we played or when you played there, and the 2 years that I was playing there, they weren't really that good until that new staff came in from whatever was it a Division 1 school that I can't even remember where that staff came
the
from.
head coach used to be Division 1, but he
Yeah.
his last go around was JUCO.
Yeah, so
He was
and
like an OC.
after that coaching change, I mean they just started balling. I mean, the year we
Mm-hmm.
played them before, I mean we beat them like 50-7 or 50 something to
Yeah, it was. I
14.
remember 44-0 or
Yeah.
something at
And then
one
the
point.
next year we won by 1 point when they got that new staff. It was a complete turnaround. And like even
Yeah.
schools like Missouri Southern and those schools like that, I mean, just because they're not, necessarily always in the winning column and Kearney,
hmm
all those schools aren't in the winning column in the MIAA, it doesn't mean that you go into that game thinking, oh, this is going to be easy win. You got to go balls to the wall every single one of those games because all those guys and all those programs have really good talent and really good players. So I completely agree with you on that part.
hmm
This next question is more about you. So you started for 33 games in the 3 years that you played at MWSU, and you became an all MIAA player twice. That's not luck, and that happens with trust, preparation, and consistency. So what did it take mentally for you to stay ready every week and be that dependable guy for your coaches and for your team?
I feel like you gotta have a reason why. My reason why was like I always was big on I want to prove someone wrong, whether they critique me, whether it was valid or not. I always had like kind of like a chip on my shoulder. I want to prove somebody wrong. And then the other fact is I just want to continuously prove I want to be the best. And I feel like once you reach a certain like status quo or whatnot, it's hard to stay at that status quo because like you the one being hunted at that time. Like you
Yeah,
not hunting at that time. So like
yeah,
once you get somewhere, it's harder to stay there because everybody gunning for you. So I always was big on I won't let somebody outwork me. Like
yeah,
if I'm doing this, somebody else doing this. So I always kind of had that in the back of my mind. Like okay, I'm doing this. It's other Division 2 players that do that. Like we all here at the same level. We got here
yeah,
for a reason, and whatnot. Like what I'm doing, not special. So kind of doing that, putting that in my head, made it seem like all that extra work really wasn't special. It's like all these other guys doing extra work. So I gotta continuously try to chase more work in some shape or form. So
yeah. No, absolutely. And like just to add to that, I mean, when we were both playing together, I remember how often we would work out and how often we would, just put in extra field work and do things like extra recovery and things like that. Just, not necessarily because we had to, but just because we wanted to. And you were always like the one to text us, like me and DG and all those guys that were in the DB room that like, let's go to the field, let's go to the workouts. And sometimes I really didn't want to. I'm not gonna lie, like I was tired, I wanted to stay home. Like I had already got done working or I had got done doing something, but you wanting to be such a good player and such a consistent person kind of rubbed off on me. And I think doing that, when you do that with your teammates, it makes not only you better, but the person that you're playing with and playing for better because, it rubs off, iron sharpens iron. And I think it's really great that, you are that way because that's really good work ethic and it goes a long way in college football, most definitely. Over your career, you had 195 tackles, 5 picks, and 18 PBUs. Out of all those numbers and all of those moments, what were you most proud of that came out of your career?
Oh, I really was trying to chasing like the 200 tackle goal,
I
just
know.
kind of like be my brother. My brother he played linebacker, so trying to chasing that tackle. Really,
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably my big. But I mean, maybe probably I don't. I'll say like this year as a prime example. So my tackles went down, but like I had made more plays on the air and the ball, and
Yeah.
I think I kind of hold on that to more because when I made my first all conference selection, I had somebody tell me that, oh, you only made all conference because you had a bunch of tackles. Which I mean, tackling a part of the game. Like
I remember.
I'm
No,
a
I
good.
remember that. I remember that.
I'm not gonna put a name on it, but yeah, but I mean, I was one of the better tacklers in the MIAA. I always felt like I was a good tackler.
Yeah.
So my tackling kind of went down this past year a little bit. Not too bad, but like my play in the pass coverage
Yeah.
improved, and I still got back to being an all conference guy. So that really was like a testimony to like what I said earlier. I like to prove people wrong, and I've always
Yeah.
held on to like that statement that was made and whatnot because I feel like it was, trying to put down my accomplishment or whatnot. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I remember when you were talking about getting the 200 tackles. I mean, we talked about that a lot. And I know that you were upset when you didn't, but you did end up playing more plays in the air. And I think that was great to see you getting more picks and more PBUs because even though maybe you didn't get that, that goal that you had set in mind, some of those plays that you had and those turnovers that you had in the air, I mean, it resulted in a big switch and a big shift for your team. And I know
hmm
what was it last year when y'all played Missouri Southern, right? That was one of the games that y'all won, and that pick that you had was a big shift, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. Well, the play right before that, our quarterback had just threw a pick, and it was, it's a one possession game. So on the
Yeah,
very next play, I go in, make a play on the air and
yeah.
whatnot, and that kind of, boosts the morale back up.
Yeah, and plays like that, I mean, being a difference maker in that aspect is really important. So I'm glad that even though that you still are a good tackler just because you didn't get 200, but the fact that you
But
out
yeah.
there in the air making those plays, like that just goes to show how much of a versatile ball player you are, and I think that's great. So you were on the leadership council, and not everybody gets that nod. What does leadership actually mean to you, and how did you try to lead people vocally? Or was it by example, or was it by both?
I kind of think it's about both because I feel like with leadership, like words have to match action.
Hmm.
Because I'm big on like I don't like those fake leader guys. Like you say all this, like a lot of guys want to be that rah rah, get guys going, but they actions don't match it. Like they not putting in that extra work, or like they just being lazy, or like they not doing stuff 100%
Yeah.
or whatnot. So I really didn't get too jiggy with that. I think it was more like I don't like to speak all the time, but there's a time to speak. You know what
Oh
I'm
yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
was one of those guys that like I'm gonna call you out, and a lot of guys don't like to do that. Like a lot of guys, they want to be the pregame speech guys, and
Hmm.
I wasn't that guy. I wasn't really trying to be a pregame speech guy. I want to call you out. I want to like correct you. I want to get you better. I'm the guy that's trying to push you. And then there is too like there's a time and a place. I also wasn't trying to be like the guy like you always got to say something when a coach around or something, or you
Yeah.
got to say it in front of the whole team. Sometimes you can step a guy to a side. So I
Hmm.
just feel like it was just really like natural intangibles.
Yeah.
Uh, per
No, yeah,
se. So
absolutely. And to add to that, when I was there with you, I remember kind of, especially when we were going through that whole coaching change at Missouri Western too. Like there was some false leadership going on, and like how you're saying, there was like a lot of rah rah guys, and I remember talking to you about it because I always wasn't the most vocal person whenever I was playing at Missouri Western, but I always made sure that whatever I was doing was setting an example, whether that be in the weight room,
hmm
the classroom, the field, the meeting room, anything I was trying to do, I was trying to lead by example. But I never also always was the most vocal person. But I always noticed like when we were playing and just knowing you that you were good at both and you were good at speaking at the right times, which I really appreciated because I mean you and me both saw how we had some of that false leadership with some
hmm
with some of the guys that we were playing with when we were younger, when we was freshmen and sophomore. And so I think it's just great that going through that process of college football and kind of growing, that you were able to kind of get away from that and apply yourself not only in the example aspect but in the vocal aspect to back it up as well. So I think that's great, and I think that's great to see, and I think it's great to hear. So this next question, so what is something that young guys don't realize about being a leader?
Not everybody gonna like you. Like that's the biggest thing I say about being a leader. Like if everybody like you when you a leader and like throughout the whole time that you been a leader, you doing something wrong. Like
Hmm.
somebody should be pissed off at you. Somebody should be mad at you. Somebody shouldn't want to speak to you because like you done called them out or you almost finna start like a fist fight. And
Yeah.
I done been in a couple of those, like trying to
No,
because
yeah, no days, no days.
yeah, calling people out and whatnot. So like if
It
everybody like
happens.
you do it, you doing something wrong. But also don't be that guy that's trying to be, trying to be an asshole or whatnot. Some
Yeah,
guys try to overdo it. Like don't overdo it. Like it's certain ways that you approach different individuals. Like you can't come at everybody the same too. And
yeah,
then two, there is a time and a place where like you just cussing at somebody else. And then there's another time where you can go to somebody, touch on their shoulder, and talk to them like I'm talking to you right now. Like
yeah,
they can go a lot farther than you just cussing and screaming at somebody.
yeah, absolutely. And I think too. So I think the leadership council kind of started whenever the new staff, the new coaching staff got there, and I think at one point we had all had a meeting like just with us and the players, like no coaches. And I think at
Hmm.
one point when we were in that meeting, we were kind of talking about what you were talking about, the correct way to call somebody out and the correct way to like address a problem if there is a problem. And I do
Hmm.
remember that conversation, and I was really happy when we had it because it kind of showed like just the maturity level of like the team and the players, and kind of how everybody would have been on the same page, because like how you said, you can't go to everybody the same way. I mean, if there's I don't want to say names, so I'm just gonna put an example. Like if there's one of your D linemen and he's big, and obviously he might have a big ego or a big persona, you don't want to come at him all up in his face, cussing at him if he like missed a rep on bench, or if he messed up a gap that he was supposed to be in. You want to try to get on him, like not aggressively but like sternly, telling him what he did wrong, but like telling
Hmm.
him like, hey, like next rep or like next play, or like let's fix this and let's move on from it, and then leave it at that. Don't keep harping on it, and don't keep trying to just put them down just because they did something wrong. And I think that was a big thing with some of the guys that we had, that, like I said before, the false leadership kind of thing. It wasn't really understanding of how to like approach those players, because at the end of the day, everybody on the football team is a young man. Everybody's around 18 to
Exactly.
23 to 24 years old. So you can't just come at no young man in that type of tone, because it can come off wrong. And
Hmm.
if you do it correctly, sometimes it might end up being confrontational. But if you know what you're doing and you know how to diffuse the situation correctly and address the problem correctly, at the end of the day, it will get resolved. So I think it's great that you said that. Another question, and this is the last question about leadership. So, how did your role change as you got older throughout the program?
I felt like so me being a safety, like I already naturally kind of had like a leadership role because I kind of made call like I got the call and then we had a meeting. So like I'm trying to get everybody on the same page
Hmm.
and the checks or whatnot. So I say it went from as I got older from like just being a leader in my position room because I was also one of the guys that kind of like knew the playbook
Yep.
the best. So like they kind of came to me. So being a leader just off of my position room, and then I feel like it just gradually goes to like the defensive side, and then eventually you kind of graduate to where you can chew out guys on the offensive side and like guys on all aspects of the game or whatnot, and being a vocal leader, being the one that can speak in front of the whole group and just
Yep.
not your position group to 10, 12, or however many guys you got, or just a defensive side unit and whatnot, but being a guy that can be a leader and say something in front of a hundred dudes and
Yeah.
whatnot.
No, absolutely. That's great. And the fact that how you say, went from your position to, you know, the side of the ball, and then eventually to the whole team, I kind of, it just kind of shows your growth and character development being at Missouri Western, and kind of knowing the program and knowing what's going on. And then, not only applying that to yourself, but being able to apply that to others and, your teammates that are around you, which is great. Um, this next part that we're going to talk about is about education. So you're an academic all honors member every year that you're at Missouri Western State University, and that is something that deserves real recognition. How did you balance football and school at a high level?
It's really just time management, what it really come down to, and like not being lazy, because like that's kind of the biggest transition in terms of like education wise from like
Hmm.
high school to college. Like you don't got somebody in your ear telling you to do it. So really,
Yeah.
like I said, time management, not wasting your time trying to play the game or just twiddling your thumbs or just being on TikTok. Like if you can set a schedule or say you're gonna do this and that and try to do it early and not wait last minute, then you good. Because that's really what it all come down to:
Yeah.
time management and effort.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think oftentimes especially when you're a freshman, like we all know about
Hmm.
like the difference between a freshman group coming in their first year and then going into the next year, and how many people might have gotten cut or just left because they couldn't do their assignments and complete their work. And I think it's very
Hmm.
important to harp on education because it really can be something so simple, like you said, as time management, just setting out, an hour to maybe 2 hours to do some of these assignments, to study for these tests that that are coming up, to put the work in on a
Hmm.
project, that is supposed to be, submitted by the end of the week, instead of playing 2K or NCAA all day and all week. You're trying to grind out your fantasy team, whatever it is. Like just setting out the
Hmm.
time in order to make yourself just as at a high performance in the classroom as on the field. So I think that's great. And kudos to you to getting, those academic accolades, because that's still big. And it shows that, coaches can trust you not only on the field, but off the field as well. So my next question is, do you think academics ever helped you with your football discipline?
I would say to a certain extent, because look at it like this: like if you want to be, eventually there has to be some separator, because like eventually the talent ain't as separate as it was in high school.
Yeah.
So if you got good study habits in school, you gonna have good study habits watching the film. If you got good time management because of school, you gonna have good time management because of in football. Like the
Hmm.
coaches, like when you in college, coaches like they care about your production, what you do on the field, but like you earn trust through everything
Yeah.
that comes with being a collegiate athlete, like going to class, coming to meetings, going to workout. So that part coming in the time management, that play a role. And like I said, film too, film a big thing. So if you got good study habits in school, you're gonna have good study habits watching film. You're gonna make
Hmm.
more plays once you know your opponent better,
Yeah.
and you just moving more confident out there, more freely out there and whatnot.
Yeah. I like that you
And
said
coach,
that. No, go ahead. Go
oh
ahead.
yeah. Oh, and I was gonna say last, and coaches like somebody that can grasp a playbook fast.
Hmm.
So the only way you grasp a playbook fast is if you study it,
Hmm.
if you constantly learn it, if you ask some questions, like you would ask questions. If you wanted to prove your grade in school, you're gonna ask questions.
Yeah.
That principle applies to football. Like if you stuck on some, ask a question. There is no dumb question. The only dumb question is the one that you don't answer, because you go out there on that field, especially when it's during fall camp
Yeah.
and you didn't ask that question and you done messed up when coach went over in that film, you look uncoachable.
Yeah. No, absolutely, I agree, and I'm glad that you said that and connected it to the film aspect, because I think a lot of the times too, like how I was talking about education, I mean that can be applied into the film room as well. Like how
Hmm.
you're saying, coaches want players that want to be fast learners, and that's true. They don't want to bring in players that want to play but don't want to learn the scheme and what the defense is trying to put out and envision on the field as one whole unit. It takes 11 guys, and all the 11 guys need to know their individual jobs, and that's what kind of makes it a functioning system. So I think it's really important
Hmm.
that when you're coming into a college, or even if you're already there and you're still not getting it, it's really important to watch film and, like how you said, ask the coaches questions about certain plays. And I mean, how you're saying earlier about trying to be a leader, also in an aspect too, those young guys asking questions to you, if you know the playbook so well, I think that if they're scared, not well, they might not be scared, but they just might think they're too cool to ask their coaches. But they can also ask
Hmm.
players, and they can also ask the older guys who do know the playbook. Because I remember when I was a freshman and I was playing with Kobe and Tristan Davis and DJ Sturgis and all those guys, like I wasn't afraid to ask them questions because I wanted to learn the playbook. even though I asked, our coach at the time, Coach Richter, some questions, sometimes coaches don't always explain stuff in a way that you can understand. So if you ask them a question and maybe you didn't understand it, maybe it's good to ask your teammates who do understand it so that way you can all be on the same page. So I think it's really great that you said that. What advice would you give to athletes who are struggling off the field in terms of academics?
Use your resources. Every athletic department has like somebody that helps with like academic or can connect you to tutor. Like use your resources. Like a lot of people don't want to use their resources, whatever the reason may be, but use those. Go to tutoring, ask for help, or find a study buddy. Don't be afraid to ask somebody for like help, because in life we get to where we get to because of people. Like you won't get
Absolutely.
to your full maximum potential by yourself. Like somebody's gonna help you along the way. Like in football, somebody's gonna help coach a skill or teach you something that you don't know.
Yep.
Like you're gonna learn more asking for help and seeking help than you are by yourself.
Yeah.
And you just harming yourself.
No, that's a great answer. I totally agree with that. Like I was saying, use your resources, things like tutors, study hall rooms, even teammates that are in the same classes that might understand it. I think that's a great way to, go into the right steps in order to start understanding how you need to apply yourself academically, especially if you're struggling, off the field and trying to get your grades right so you can be eligible to play. Because you can be the greatest player in the world, but if you're not eligible by rule, you can't play. It don't matter. If you don't have those grades, you're not going to be able to step a foot on the field when the time matters on Saturday. So my next question is, so you're currently done playing, but there's a chance with the new NCAA Division II rule that you could get another year. What has this waiting period been like for you mentally?
I kind of ain't get too optimistic on it because I always had it that this was my last year. But this is like I'll say if it passes, it's a blessing.
Hmm.
So like I'm not really too like stressing about it or whatnot. I
Yeah.
would take that last year and whatnot, but I always came to mind that that this was the end. I mean, really the only thing I would say is kind of like transition to the next phase is kind of delayed there because it's like it's up in the air for whatnot
Yeah.
in terms of that because like I'm finishing up school, so like going back home I have to wait on this rule to see what that like future plans
Yeah.
it kind of affects that, but like other than that it really ain't had too much effect on me.
Yeah. Still working out and still training just like you normally do, huh?
Yep, stay ready so you don't get ready.
Hey. How do you prepare for the future when it is unclear for you?
That's a good question. I really
Yeah.
say like really got to have a plan, but
Yeah.
there is no perfect plan. Eventually, you're gonna get punched in the mouth. That's like a
Yeah.
same way with a football game plan. So
Yeah.
always have some backup or whatnot. Always be ready for something to go wrong. Like you ain't gotta be negative Nancy or whatnot, but always plan for something not to go your way. Always kind of have a plan B, a backup plan, and always have okay, have a little margin for error. Like if you have something that has to be precise to the T, granted it's mostly not gonna go through. So that's what
Yeah.
I say.
No, that's a great answer. And, always like how you're saying, stay ready, so you ain't got to get ready. I think, I
Hmm.
think that answer and what you just said go hand in hand. So, um, the next question is, so if this college chapter is closed, how will you reflect on your college career?
I have no regrets. I think I have a good chance of making the Mo West Hall of Fame. I think I was a pretty good player and whatnot. Like the only two down things I say on my career is like there's a couple of coaching decisions that I didn't agree on in my career, but I can't,
Yeah, I
I
can't
can't
control
hold
that.
that back.
Yeah.
Can't control that or whatnot. But really thankful and blessed to have played the opportunity. I gave my all. I came out with no major injuries. Thank God for that. And
Yep.
yeah,
That's awesome.
great experience.
I'm glad. Hey, I'm glad you're looking on it with no regrets, though. That's
Mm.
the biggest thing. Football gives you structure when you're playing and when you're going through it. So when it's gone, things change. So who is Trey Holmes without football?
I'm trying to get back to being kind of like a nerd right now because like football was always the second part of me. I always been back to a nerd. So like trying to get
Yeah.
back into like chess. I'm like reading. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, Trey Holmes is a God fearing man. I love people.
Yeah.
I love to stay happy. I like to do things, and like I said, I'm either working or I'm learning. Like you gonna always see me try to chase a bag, or like or I'm trying to learn, or like I'm spending valuable time with my friends and my loved ones, and I feel like that's a
Yeah.
testament to
Yeah. No,
who I
absolutely.
am as an
That's a
individual.
great answer. Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I just knowing you like I completely agree with you, on a personal level. So what is next for you no matter what happens, and pertaining to the whole thing with the extra year? Like what's next for you no matter what?
Um, Regardless, whenever I want to play football at the highest level and for the longest I possibly can. So
Mhm.
whenever that closes, that closes. But when it's football over with, I want to be a physical therapist. I want to train like world class athletes. I want to train top dogs. I'm gonna stick to like sports, and I want to eventually open my own clinic and one day. And
That's
then
awesome.
my biggest goal is like I want to give the athletes like everything. Like if
Yeah.
you want nutrition, I got you. If you need to recover, I got you. If you need training, whether it's skill work or like speed training or weightlifting or whatnot, I want to encompass all that. I want to have the knowledge to do all that. And if I'm not very knowledgeable on that, I want somebody on my staff to do that. So once you
Hmm.
come to my place, I want you to say like, "Dang, you don't have to leave here. I can train you in every aspect, whether that's recovery, whether it's staying up to shape, or whether that's want to improve your skill set or improve your numbers in the weight room. I want you, or improve your dieting and how you eat. And I want you to be able to say, oh, I'm coming to Homes for that." So,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's an awesome answer. And I'm glad
mhm,
that when you're talking about PT, you're not just talking about, the physical training aspect, training and weightlifting, but you're also talking about, field work aspect and recovery and dieting and all that stuff. I think that's
mhm,
great. And I know you personally, and I know you got a big heart and you want to see people succeed and you want to see people be better than, their original selves. And I totally can picture you, doing that and being successful and making
mhm.
successful athletes even more successful than they already are. So I can just see that, no doubt in my mind, I can see you doing that and being great at it. So I think that's a great answer. What lessons from the game have carried on into your life?
Don't be a quitter. I feel like football just it's the memories, and like it helps build you and grow you as a
Hmm.
man. Because you go through some tough stuff. You
Yeah,
gotta man up.
yeah,
Like ain't nobody out there. It's you. Like you gotta man up. You gotta
absolutely.
make a sacrifice, and it shows you like when if you want to achieve something, if you really passionate about something, you have to sacrifice. You have to make compromises. You have to do something that you don't want to do, and I feel like that's probably the biggest takeaway out of that. And like instilling a work ethic in you. Like you
Yeah,
gotta work for this dog. Ain't nothing handed to you. You gotta work for
yeah,
this win. You gotta work for this to be a starter. You gotta work to move up on the depth chart or whatnot. And yep.
absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. And I think too, like how you're saying, like you got to work for this. Like I'm about to start doing my first full time job being at a college, and just trying to get the hiring process started. Like I literally had to text them like 5 different times because they said when I went in my
Hmm.
interview, they said they was gonna hire me, but it gets busy during holidays, and so some businesses like yeah they said they're gonna hire you, but they trying to handle this and this. They might gotta handle
Hmm.
salaries and people already working there. They gotta handle income, sales tax, all this other stuff. But I want to work there, and so I'm letting him know I gotta work there. So even though I already
Hmm.
texted him once in the morning, I'm gonna text him once in the evening, like, hey, like I need these papers so I can start this screening, or like, hey, I need this so I can start the orientation process. And I'm about to start on Monday, and so hopefully I can start soon. And I think how you were saying, like, you can't quit and you got to have a good work ethic. I think that football has taught me that in the same aspect, because I know when I go and do this job, like, I'm going to give it my all and I'm going to put my head down and try to be the best, service advisor compared to everybody
Hmm.
who I'm working next to. Not necessarily preying on their downfall or saying, like, oh, they better not be better than me. I want to just be better than them in a sense of, like, they're going to teach me how to do the job and I'm going to learn and I'm going to train. But after I do that, I'm going to work and build off them and try to be the best possible employee, in that aspect. So I
Hmm.
think you're right. I think football especially college football. I think it teaches a great work ethic, and I think it just really teaches you how to be, get down in that nitty gritty and just go out and do that thing. Because sometimes that's what you got to do, especially, like if you got to make a play on the field, you got to make a play in the classroom, it don't matter. So I completely agree with you.
Apply that pressure.
You got to apply that. Hey, pressure makes diamonds. You know what I'm saying?
Come on now.
Okay, so this is the last thing. So one thing I always ask is when I have a guest is, what is something that you would tell a younger safety or a younger DB if they're watching?
Playbook. At the position of safety, like, you will see guys that might not be the fastest, might not be the twitches, but if you know playbook, if you know the route tree, if you know concepts and whatnot, like, playbook is a big determinant factor, especially like at safety, but at any position. When
Yeah,
you come into college football, like, there's not a big gap in talent, but there can be a big gap in football IQ.
yeah.
And football IQ can take you very far. It can make you play faster. It can make you more confident. It can make you make more plays.
No,
So,
absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I know in some of the last streams I had, even with the D linemen, I mean, they were saying some of the same things about how important the playbook is. And coming from the safety in the DB position, I mean, it's really important because if you're even if you're a free or a boundary safety, you're still the captain of that triangle. So
hmm
you gotta know what your side of the field is doing, and sometimes in certain aspects you got to know what the other side of the field is doing too, because
exactly.
it can go hand in hand depending on if you're in cover 3, cover 2, if y'all are in man, if you're in cover 4. Like, it don't matter. Like, you got to know what you're supposed to be doing on that field, or you will get blurred. You will get thrown in catch line.
Blurred band
Like,
playing. If it's quiet, it's a band playing. If it's quiet, the band finna be playing.
yeah, no, and you don't want to let that happen. And the
Yeah.
first step, I think, like how you're saying, to prevent that is knowing the playbook. It's very, very important from the DB position. It don't matter if you're playing
hmm
corner. It don't matter if you're playing safety, nickel. It don't matter. You got to know your playbook if you want to be a good ball player. So if you guys are watching, I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like and share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is XACE XST2X, and that is also the same as my Twitch handle. Just go ahead and like and follow both those pages, and be sure to subscribe to the YouTube, like I said. If you guys are watching, I really do appreciate it. Stay blessed and have a great rest of y'all evening.